Oh, oh my gosh. Listen, you have entered into the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa Lacan. So I have natural hair. If I had more hair, I would pull it, but I don't have that much hair to pull. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. People are like, oh my gosh. So and stare. Welcome.
Something about Elisa. There's something about Elisa.
He said, Lisa.
Oh, Lisa.
Lisa, remember you were talking about pivoting. I love that. Like, oh, dun, 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 dun. Yes. All right. So you are back with me in the Urban Suite.
Hello, Urbanites. Hello.
Oh, I love that blue. Look at that. And you know what? This is our second year. Oh my gosh. So was it 2 years ago? No, last year? I can't remember.
What you mean?
What you mean? What? Are you serious? Anyway, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So for the month of May, I try to have all mental health topics. Our life is consumed with fear. What are delusions? And the week before that, I talked about hallucinations because oftentimes in the urban community, we have a tendency to kind of mix up those two between hallucinations and delusions. Hallucinations. See how I did it? So between hallucinations and what are hallucinations and delusions, and people kind of put them together to make it sound like hallusions. But there's no such thing as a hallusion. It's a hallucination or delusion. It's all in your mind. And we are going to dig in and dive into thoughts versus feelings.
We all got feelings. I don't care how tough you're supposed to be.
I don't say anything I feel. I don't share anything with the internet.
Huddle up, team. Feelings on 3. 1, 2, 3. Feelings!
And a lot of people don't know what that is.
I don't want to hurt her feelings.
Like, do you know what emotions are?
What we're gonna do is learn to hide our emotions with math problems.
You asking me?
I'm asking you.
Who, me?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I do. I know what emotions are.
Your feelings are not only forgivable, they are the very meaning of life that only pre-silicon carbon-based entities can ever grasp.
Oh, what? Are you serious? You are entering the Urban Suite with Dr. Lisa Lacan. Let's talk about urban issues plaguing our community. Let's talk about mental health. Let's talk about sex. Welcome. You have entered into the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa Lacan. Welcome. Listen, I wasn't here last week. I am here this week. So tonight, we're taking a little summer break. I'm not going to do any deep dive topic tonight. We're going to have fun. Not saying that the other topics that I do is not fun, but this is the summer break. So Lisa, just relax. I didn't have to study this week. I didn't have to do research this week. We're just going to talk about stuff that has been happening in the news. The BET Awards, which is now called the EBT Awards. We're going to talk about the Essence Festival, some of the things that I saw via social media. I saw two sides. Good, bad, indifferent. We're going to talk about that. My take on the Essence Festival. We're going to talk about, we have 2 missing persons, as well as a good news. So we're going to talk about that. So tonight we're just going to have fun. We're going to relax as we enter into the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa Lacan. So after our word from our sponsor, Blessed Ministries Incorporated, BMI, the premier workforce development agency in the state of New Jersey, where we provide employment services as well as training to those residents who are in need, those that have been impacted by opioids, those that are on parole, probation, adults with disabilities, as well as students with special needs and our missing persons. And then after that, we're going to get into it. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, so we are back with our missing person segment. And every week when I go live, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday nights, I always do my missing person segment. And tonight is no exception. So who do we have first? Now, I have to put on my readers. All right, so bear with me. All right, so we have Jada Torres. Jada Torres has been missing since July 2nd, 2024 from the Bronx, New York. Listen, you boogie down Bronx, I need you to pay attention. I need you to look at her picture. And for those that are on Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, I need you to listen to what I'm going to say because you cannot see her picture. But if you want to check out her picture, you can follow me on YouTube, Urban Tools for Change Network, and you can see everything. All right. So Jada Torres, she's 17. She's been missing since July 2nd, 2024 from Bronx, New York. She's 17 years old. She's female. She is biracial. Her complexion is medium. Her height is 5'6". She weighs 149 pounds. Her hair color is blonde. Her hair length is medium, and her eye color is brown. So listen, Jada was last seen leaving her residence around 2 a.m. Let me repeat that. She was last seen leaving her residence around 2 a.m. on July 2nd, 2024. She is without her cell phone. All right. Circumstances of disappearance unknown. Anyone with information, please contact New York Police Department, Crime Stoppers at 800-577-8477. Or you can get in contact with BAMFI, that's Black and Missing Foundation Incorporated, at 877-97-BAMFI. All right, so, and that translates to 22634. Let's bring Jada Torres home. All right, next we have Mr. Israel Michael Myers. All right, so he's been missing since July the 5th, 2024 from Oakland, California. Listen, so we have the East Coast, we have the West Coast. Now listen, he's only 16 from Oakland, California. Listen, you Oaklanders, I guess that's what you call yourselves. I don't know, but I know you're out there listening to me. I know you are out there. Listen, again, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Definitely, if you would like to see the picture of how they look, follow me on YouTube, Urban Twos for Change Network. All right, so he's a male. His race is black. His complexion is light. His height is 5'6". He weighs 120 pounds. His hair color is other. His hair length is medium, and his eye color is brown. Last seen. Israel was last seen in the 1200 block of 65th Avenue on July 25th, 2024 at approximately 10:30 p.m. Circumstances of disappearance unknown. Anyone with information, please contact the Oakland Police Department. And that number is area code 510-238-3641. Or you can get in contact with BAMFI, that's the Black and Missing Foundation Incorporation, at 877-97-BAMFI, which translates into 2366. What is it? 23. I always get this confused. Hurry up, ticker. Go faster. 22634. 22634. So listen, we have a great news. All right, Trenton Wayne Orcott, because I wanted to bring you all some good news. We need some good news, right? All right, so he was missing July 5th, 2024 from Vancouver, Washington. But he has been found. He was 11 years old. 11 years old. His gender male, race black, complexion medium. His height is 5'7", 250 pounds. Hair color is black. Hair length is short, and eye color is brown. Trenton Orcott was last seen walking away from 2404 Southeast 161st Street Court around 1 a.m. Circumstances of disappearance unknown. Great news, he is found. But listen, I have something to say. What was somewhat the common denominator when these children went missing? Let's focus on 17-year-old Jada and Trenton, who was 11, or he is 11 years old. All right. So remember, Trenton, even though great news, he's found, he was last seen 1 a.m. in the morning. We're talking about an 11-year-old, 1 a.m. in the morning. And then Jada Torres, who's 17, she was last seen around 2 a.m. in the morning. Now, maybe because I'm part of generation, X? At 11 years old, where were you at 1 a.m. in the morning? I'm just trying to find out and figure out what is happening with the youth in terms of parental guidance. An 11-year-old out at 1 a.m. in the morning, a 17-year-old out at 2 a.m. in the morning. Do they still have that ad? It used to come on in New York at 10 o'clock. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Do they? I don't know. Does someone answer that? I don't know. Does that still?
No, they don't.
They
don't.
They probably, you know what? People probably complained and said, take it off. I'm shocked.
Yeah, I haven't seen that since the early 2000s, if that. Yeah.
I am shocked. An 11-year-old last seen at 1 a.m. in the morning. I don't know about you. Now, I know children do sneak out because that's been a trend, especially with social media. They're befriending these strangers online and they do sneak out. And this is the danger of social media. There's some very good things with social media, but there's some very perverted things with social media. But I'm just curious to know why an 11-year-old is out at 1 a.m. and why a 17-year-old is out at 2 a.m. Don't people understand and know that that's the time of a lot of wickedness that happens? I'm like, maybe the parents are asleep and they sneak out the house, but I'm really trying to understand. And this is a hard thing because I don't know Jada Torres. I don't know her situation. I don't know Trenton Wayne Orcott. I don't know their situation. But let me tell you this. I did a show when I first started about 2.5, 3 years ago on missing persons. And oftentimes, some of these missing persons, not all of the children, but oftentimes these missing persons were in foster care homes. They were in foster care homes. And as a result of them being in the foster care home, they did not have the loving environment, parental guidance that I would have toward my children. And then what I also uncovered is this is a lot of these foster parents were in on soliciting these children for money. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know Jada Torres' situation. I don't know Trenton Wayne Orcott's situation. I don't know. Now, with Israel Michael Myers, the one thing that kind of alarmed me was his name. Like, I'm Generation X again. So I grew up with the name Michael Myers, which is synonymous with a horror movie, a horror character, a character that kills people and stuff like that. That's like if your name is Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger. I did notice that his time, approximately 10:30, that's late. 16, when I was 16, there was no way that I would be out the house at 10:30 without my parents, without adult supervision.
Yeah, nowadays the young kids they stay out later. Yep. They be staying up, staying out. And the only other thing you didn't say in there too was both for the 11-year-old Trenton, he was missing on the 5th, and so was Israel, which
Right.
was last Friday, like after 4th of July.
Uh-huh.
So that was like a Friday night going into Saturday. It's summertime. People might be still like lighting fireworks.
Right.
People
So
are
he
out.
may not want to be found in a sense.
Yeah,
Because I realize, I realize that there are four conditions, typically four conditions why people go missing. Number one, people do run away and they do not want to be found. Number two, some people lose their faculties. They may have dementia and they're lost. Number three, some people are kidnapped and they are taken, they are abducted. And then number four is, unfortunately, some people go missing because we have sad news to report because someone unalived them. And whether that could be a kidnapping or maybe not. They may have gone out on an evening with a friend or whatever, and then something happened, and then they unalive that person, and then that person goes missing. So those are pretty much the four conditions why people go missing. Some people are saying, you know what, I want to go with Johnny. I met Johnny over the internet. And then in that scenario, what can happen is there's a combination of that person saying, I don't want to be found, and then also being kidnapped. Whereas they were not under the impression that that was going to happen. And then some people, depending on their age, depending on their cognitive ability, they may have dementia, and then they, cannot find their way back home.
Or some, just like you brought up, some type of like mental episode, or they might have a condition or something like that.
Right. Absolutely.
Not as a dementia, but some type of mental condition or something like that.
Absolutely. Because that has happened with some of our clients. They had a psychotic episode and they just went missing. But what happened with them, they were in either one of three places: the hospital, jail, or shelter. And sometimes they were just roaming the street. But I am just so curious, like, what is happening with society? Whereas, do we believe that it's all right for an 11-year-old to be out at 1 a.m.? Is that acceptable behavior? Like, are we at a point and a place in this world whereas it is acceptable, it is normal? We don't think it's foreign for an 11-year-old to be out at 1 a.m. or a 17-year-old. Now, I understand in New York, I know a lot of people that were born and raised in New York, and they went to the clubs and they did a lot of stuff and da 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 da. 17, 2 a.m., that's still.
But it's getting towards that age, though. It's still getting
right, exactly. I can
people do hang out. Yeah, like
right. I can kind of see that because she could be turning 18 next month.
Right.
Where she could be legally an adult. That's but an 11-year-old at 1 a.m. in the morning. Now, if you watch the news, a lot of carjackings, and I said this also. Remember, I don't want to say predicted, but remember I said this before it really started trending, that a lot of youth now are starting to commit these deviant behaviors as juveniles because, one, they're not going to be prosecuted as adults, and because the justice system is so lenient right now that they're going to get off. So what is happening right now as a result of this leniency happening with the Department of Corrections, the judicial system, a lot of older people are soliciting these young people to engage in criminal activity so that they won't have to do time. So they're grooming this younger generation to be criminals. They're grooming this younger generation to be thugs. They're grooming this younger generation to engage in this maladaptive behavior because the judicial system right now says, oh, you can get out, especially in New York. New York is very laxed with this. So if you are a juvenile and you engage in certain criminal activity, that's sort of like a guaranteed pass to go. And what's happening, like I said, older people are soliciting them to come aboard to engage in this criminal activity. Carjacking. A lot of 13-year-olds are carjacking. A lot of 14-year-olds are carjacking. I didn't even know how to drive at 13 or 14. Did you know how to drive at 13 or 14?
No. But like maybe in the country, people know how to drive because you're, so out there, you could just practice.
Right.
Driving.
I'm talking about
not
these
like you wouldn't have no car. You wouldn't like.
Right. This is a city.
Yeah.
So it's very alarming. And I'm not to, diminish that these children are missing. Not saying it's their fault or whatever, but there is something happening. There is something happening because I go through these things quite often, these missing persons, and I see a lot of the location last seen, and it's very bothersome to me. And I never really said anything about it. But when I saw the 11-year-old at 1 a.m., is very interesting. And then the other thing that I notice about him, now he's 250 pounds.
That was a big difference too, like because they were all around the same height, but they're very different sized kids as well.
He's 250 pounds at 11. An 11-year-old, think about that. An 11-year-old, he's 5'7", 250 pounds. He does not look like an 11-year-old.
No, he looks like almost like a teenager, grown man almost.
He looks like a grown man.
He has the body size of it, like a grown man.
Yes, he has the body size of a grown man. He's 5'7", 250 pounds at 11. So when he goes out and he's out at 1 a.m., people probably are not questioning his
normal. Yeah.
Right, because he looks like he can blend in with people that could be out at 1 a.m. But when you really think about that, an 11-year-old weighing 250 pounds, that is not healthy at all. He may have juvenile diabetes. He may be getting bullied. There may be a lot of issues with this. And the things that I see and the profiles that I read, the majority of these children have some type of disability. They have some type of disability. So, like I said, not all, but some do. So that's that missing person thing.
Now, one last thing about that though, like you talk about the driving and the kids, and it just so we can segue into talking about other stuff. Like we didn't have no like Grand Theft Audio video games and stuff like that when we were younger either, though. Like kids play that at a very young age.
Yeah,
like that's a very popular like video game and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Those video games.
To say like, video games are destroying the youth or anything, but I mean, come on.
It does have an impact. Anything that you put in your system, and when I say system, anything that you repeatedly view or hear is going to create or have an impact on you, whether you realize it or not. Perfect example. Have you ever hated a song as you were like growing up, and you would never put this song on your playlist? You hate this song. If they played that song now, you would know the words.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right. That happens. And you would start singing the words, whether you like the song or not. Because what is happening, those words, all that stuff has energy. It has a spirit attached to it. So if you are eating it over and over and over and over again, just like regular food, if you are consuming this, whether it's through your eye gate, your ear gate, whether it's through, your nostrils, whether you're tasting it, whether you're touching it, it may consume you. It may consume you and alter your whole entire disposition. I worked with this young kid, how old was he? He was 18. He was in a psychiatric hospital. And he was in a psychiatric hospital because he was so consumed with these dark video games. And these dark video games fall into the occult. And people don't talk about that. These dark video games really fall into the occult because there's a network of these people that watch these video games. They are totally consumed by these video games and they're addicted to these video games. They all have a certain look in a sense. They all have a certain disposition in a sense. And what happens is there's a spirit that consumes them. And it was so interesting. The mother stated that his life, she seemed, was normal. There was no history of mental illness in their family. Suburban family, lived out in Morris County. Now, she could tell me anything. She could be lying to me. She's self-reporting. I don't know. But looking over his life, even looking at his grades in school, and when he started gaming, you could see the downward slippery slope of him being totally consumed by those video games. And those video games that he was watching had a lot of death, had a lot of destruction, had a lot of murder, had a lot of suicidal ideations, as also successful in committing suicide. These things are real. So to your point, yes, we only had Pac-Man, and we weren't running around like, we had Pac-Man, Galaga, stuff like that. We didn't have these real life images. They look like it's real.
Life, like real life. Like, yeah.
Yes.
When it looks like you're stealing the car and beating up somebody and like taking it back, it looks pretty real. Yeah.
It looks very real. And then I always say this, a child's frontal lobe is not fully developed. The frontal lobe is responsible for logical reasoning, your reasoning. How do I make sense of this? Should I do this? Should I not do this? Why not? That part of our frontal lobe is not fully developed. So oftentimes children will just go with the flow without thinking, okay, if I do this, what would be the consequences, A or B? And if A happens, what would be the consequence of that? And if B happens, what would be the consequence of that? Children at 13, 11, 10, 12, whatever, they don't have the ability to do that because their frontal lobe is not fully developed. So what happens, what they're being fed this video image, music, TV shows, whatever it is, over and over and over again. And they may assume that that is real life and that's how you operate. And it's cool to get down like that because they can't see prison. They can't see, and I'm going there. They can't see going to an adult facility. They can't see being sexually abused. They can't see those things because they don't have the mental ability to conceptualize that image. And it can happen to me.
Yeah,
so
now,
to your point.
But on that note, on the opposite almost of going out, you have kids that are stuck to the video game, but then they have those social networks. So they're interacting with a whole bunch of different people online that are in these toxic cultures that, are just doing everything for a laugh, or you don't know who they are. It could be a grown man over on the other side of the video game with you. But when they play the video games, they play with anybody around the whole world and they can talk to them too.
Yeah.
Like that's what social media allows them to do. So a lot of those cultures are a lot of those little gaming communities are very toxic.
They are very toxic, and it's a breeding ground for perversion. It's a breeding ground for perversion. It really is. And people enter into those zones to prey on vulnerable people, and they know that youth are there, because it's very addictive. Because what happens is, it's, again, we talked about dopamine. It's like a release of that dopamine. You're watching that video and you're getting excited. You're getting a rush. You're like, okay, I want another rush. I want another rush. This is interesting. I'm talking to someone in Japan. I'm talking to someone in Kenya. I'm talking to somebody in Mexico. I'm talking to somebody in Russia. And we're competing. We're playing against one another, and it sounds fun, but it can be a breeding ground for perversion.
You ever hear of like the online conversations that these young kids have? Talk to each other. No,
I don't.
Man, like, and,
I don't want to.
Very what you call it, like racially
provocative.
Yeah, and racially charged too, and stuff like that.
Yeah, very provocative and
cussing and whatever,
Yeah.
going on as well. So it's like no, because there's no rules. There's no rules, and nobody's gonna stop you from
Exactly.
saying or doing anything.
And can you imagine living in a world with no rules? That is just a snippet, just a snippet of a culture, of a society, of an environment with no rules. And people are like, well, why do we have rules? Well, look at the gaming community.
And the thing is, that game in particular, we're talking about Grand Theft Auto. That's what it like. It's a game where what if there's no rules and you can just go around and do anything? Rob people, kill people, do all like the worst things you could think of, and they let you play it out right there in the game.
Right, play it out in your head. So what's happening now? They have the virtual reality. So that's going to be the next level where you put the goggles on, and then you can live in a society where there are no rules, and you can do whatever your fantasy. It's sort of like The Purge. So whatever you want to do, there are no rules. There are no police. There are no law enforcement. It's just your mind. So you put these goggles on and you can do whatever you want to do because there are no rules.
Right. And in that sense, you can experience those things with sort of like no consequences.
Right.
And then it gets you into liking to experience those type of things or whatever. And then what kind of people do you develop after that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Very dangerous. All right. So moving right along, I said I was going to talk about what else? The BET
the BET Awards and that movie. You said that movie too that you saw.
Oh yes, Missing Shaniqua. That one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the BET Awards, they have termed it now the EBT Awards. You know what EBT is, right?
Yeah, of course.
So electronic benefit transfer.
Yeah, something
So
like that.
the EBT, electronic benefit transfer, is a card that is used for people that are SNAP recipients or food stamp recipients. So back in the day, in the United States, because remember, I'm talking to people out in Canada, Australia, people that may not understand what EBT is. It's a food stamp. So you got to, back in the day, it looked like a coupon, and you have to have a certain amount of income to be eligible and to qualify. So if you were low income, you could apply for this supplemental service, and you would get food stamps, and the food stamps you could take to the grocery store to buy items that are eligible for this. So sometimes it's, you can get baby formula, you can get fruits, vegetables, whatever. You pay with this coupon. That was how it was back in the day, like a stamp book or something like that. Now it looks like a debit card. So they call it an EBT. So the Black Entertainment Television, they have an award show every single year. And every year I do not watch it. I do not watch it after, let me see, hold on for a quick second. I have this book. Let me see, because I read this book. Let me see. I can't find it. I can't find the book, but Deborah Lee used to be affiliated with Black Entertainment Television, BET. And back then the programming was much better. So what has happened as a result? Oh, these people, I'm sorry. I got to say this, Curtis.
What?
Some of these new artists cannot sing without special effects.
Oh, well, yeah. Like
They
talent.
are awful.
Yeah.
They are awful. Where's my book? I can't find my book.
Yeah, because she was married to the guy that started BET, right?
No, she was the adulteress.
Lord. Okay. All right. She was the other. Okay.
She was the adulteress. So he was married to Sheila Johnson. So Bob Johnson and Sheila Johnson started BET, and then Deborah Lee came in there. Ooh, Bob.
Wow, no.
Bob. So anyway, I have to say, outside of the personal shenanigans that they did, I appreciated the work ethic that she put in outside the bedroom. Anyway, the work ethic that she put in to try to have BET to be very polished and professional. So when she left, I believe BET was sold to Viacom, which is a white-owned business. So people were saying basically they don't care about programming. They'll put anything. Right. If they could put Grand Theft Auto on there all day, they would. Right. And basically, yes, it's true.
It went down. Yeah.
It went down significantly. Black Girls Rock is no longer on there. Remember, the kids used to convene on BET. What was the thing?
Summit, BET Summit. Or
yes, the Summit, right? And we used to talk about like real issues, heavy duty issues amongst the kids and the youth. Well, in the book that Deborah Lee wrote, she was saying that Bob Johnson wanted to axe that program because it didn't bring in any money.
Ooh.
But she was, you know, she maintained her stance, and they kept that show running. The book is very good.
Wait a minute. She was the work wife or something?
She was more than the work wife. She was the work wife. She was, you know.
She was there at the BET, like, you know what I mean? Like, they were working together. That's why they were all around each other all the time.
All the time. All the time. They traveled together. They did, you know, whatever. And she was saying, now she's highly educated. Highly educated woman. You know, I believe she didn't have to do what she did to get where she needed to go at all, because her credentials and her brain, like she's.
But it was back in the day. She was a woman, and like how many women were getting that high position as she was like back then? That was like what, the 90s, right?
That was the 80s, 90s, yes.
So maybe there wasn't a lot of positions, so she figured she had to do whatever she had to do to be in that position at that time.
Yeah, she was in positions, all right. So anyway, but I have to say the programming under her watch was so much better. It really was. So they had.
You impressed by the BET performances this year? You weren't impressed?
No, actually, I was turned off by two people that, Victoria Monet and Tiana Taylor.
Really? What happened? What?
Oh my goodness. So they did a tribute to Usher. Now, I didn't see this. I'm only going on the previews, but I saw the whole thing. This dance that Victoria Monet, and I like Victoria Monet, and Tiana Taylor, I like Tiana Taylor. It was the remake of Usher and Beyonce song, but Victoria Monet was supposed to be Beyonce and Tiana Taylor was supposed to be Usher. So Tiana Taylor was dressed up in a suit with a guy. So she's supposed to portray this masculine energy, and Victoria Monet is supposed to portray this feminine energy. And they were rolling and gyrating on one another. And then Victoria Monet rolled over and then did a split and then I mean, it was sort of X-rated TV.
Now, would it have been all right if it wasn't on TV, like at a regular concert or something like that? No, I
don't want to see two women gyrating, humping up and down on one another, doing splits, and it was too much for me.
You had a problem with Janelle Monáe at the Essence Festival last year.
Yeah, because she showed her breasts. Like, why?
She was trying to get attention.
Yeah, okay. I guess she needed to have everyone awakened by that lackluster performance that she did that was putting everybody asleep. Yeah, that was awful.
She had to do something to get everybody's attention.
So Taraji P. Henson was the hostess. And then there was this big brouhaha over this guy, Keith Lee, who sat in the wrong seat. She said the wrong name. I mean, to me, it was like, she played it off very well. I mean, you know.
I heard about that, but what happened? I don't get what happened. Tell me what happened.
Okay. So she was giving people their roses. You give people their flowers while they're here, congratulating them, give them their due, whatever, based on whatever. So she approached this man who was seated, I'll say seat number 3. And she thought that was Keith Lee. So whatever script that she had rehearsed toward Keith Lee, it was not to Keith Lee. It was to this other man. And then the man pointed as well as Keith Lee's wife.
It was like, he's over here.
Right, he's over here. So apparently what she was saying to Roger P. Henson was saying that they put Keith Lee, or somebody put him in the wrong seat. Basically, he was in the wrong seat. Because apparently the producers told her, go to seat 3, and that's where Keith Lee is. So people were upset with her because they were like, well, she should have known who Keith Lee is. He's this major. Listen to this. I don't know how to say that.
It's ghetto. You trying to say that it's ghetto?
Yeah, they're saying that BT is ghetto. But my thing is, every year people say the same thing. Hear about Busta Rhymes at the Essence Festival.
That part I did see. With his rant.
Yes.
Yeah, I did see that.
Again, we're Generation X. He was apparently performing in front of a younger generation, and they weren't apparently feeling him. They were on their phone. They were doing whatever. He was not engaging to them, and he got upset. But remember I told you about the Essence Festival?
You said you liked it. Yeah, you said
I did. But remember I said because of our age, going to the convention show in the morning and doing those things, and then the concert in the evening, which sometimes let out around 11, 12, 1 o'clock, is a bit too much.
It was too late.
It's way too late for what is his name? What's the rapper? Busta Rhymes? No, you should have been in the date program.
Yeah.
You should have been with the AARP. The AARP crowd, we cannot endure concerts 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 when having a full day in the morning. That's a lot.
Whole day. Yeah, after
a whole hot day.
You said that last year. That's what you said for last year. Yeah,
yes.
You said the young people should have been at night. It was at nighttime.
Yes. Because it's just too much. It is too much. Now, in the convention center, yes, you can find a place to sit down. It's well air conditioned. All of that is fantastic, but it's big, it's massive, and you're out pretty much all day. And then you have to transition back to your hotel and then catch a cab or whatever to the concert hall, the stadium. It's a lot for Busta Rhymes' generation, our generation. It's a lot. It was a lot for me.
I think they might. I think they might have been like recording him too, instead of like watching the show and like clapping along and doing that stuff. They were just recording it. You know, they were just sitting there like videoing it and not really vibing with it too.
Right. Yeah. And I think also you get after the concert, you get home so late in a sense because there are not enough Ubers to take you home.
Not for that many
people.
You
can drive. Right. It's just the wait after the concert is insane.
So it's gonna be 2 o'clock after you really getting back to the hotel and everything. Like
yes, it was 2 o'clock in the morning when we got home. It was back to the hotel. 2 o'clock in the morning. It was a very long day. So you definitely have to, make certain that you're hydrated. Drink plenty of water because it's hot down there in New Orleans in July. The convention center is huge, although it is well lit. There are plenty of bathrooms. There's plenty of food. There's plenty of beverages and stuff like that. But then you have to take a nap or something.
Ain't no place to lay down. Ain't no place.
No, they did have little rooms.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, they had like meditation rooms where you can kind of you could do that. You can lay down. You could probably go to sleep, take a nap. You can do that.
Okay.
So they did have that. but it's just a lot for people entering into, that Generation X. This is the problem that Essence is confronting, I believe. I believe Essence started with Generation X and the boomers. We're getting older. The boomers are dying off. Generation is getting older, and we are slowly but surely dying off. How can they attract the next generation effectively while still acknowledging our existence and still, making us feel that we're somewhat relevant?
Right, because like a lot of all the daytime stuff was for the older people. But then if you want somebody to come to a concert at 10, 11 o'clock at night, like that's when it starts. That's the younger people's thing.
Well, the concerts in the day, it was both, because they have different sound stages. So I saw, oh gosh, what's the guy from DC, the rapper that I like? Why can't I think of his name?
What?
Which guy hung him up from, allegedly hung him over the balcony? He's from DC.
I'll know it when you say it, but I can't think of somebody, because all I'm thinking of is Eminem right now, or somebody like that, or Vanilla Ice. Or something.
His name Wale.
Oh, Wale. Okay, yeah.
Wale was there in the daytime. He gave a cute concert, like in a little sound stage. Just a small, sound stage. Then they had last year they had the Coca-Cola section, and they had a sound stage. So they had performers. So we saw Wale, Marie, somebody else.
Janelle Monáe.
Oh no, she was at the stadium. Okay. But in the daytime, they do have also a lot of vendors, Black-owned businesses. So if you want to do shopping, they have that. They have different workshops also that you can go to. So you can listen to a panel discuss about finances.
Yeah, that's
discuss, cooking and stuff. So that's your time to kind of sit down and wine. They have a lot of food vendors.
Yeah, I mean that's for to me that seems like that's more for the older people, like to do stuff.
I would say so, especially to spend the money like that, to go shopping,
right.
To go to the conferences. They had a book signing. So yeah, that's more mature.
People.
Yeah,
mature crowd.
Right.
But then, like at night, once the lights go off and it's just drinking, it's like that. Then you'll have like those 20-year-olds and people like that.
Right.
That want to be there.
So they had Raphael Sadiq. So he caters to our generation.
Yeah, that's older generation.
Right. So he caters to our generation.
Lauryn Hill is too. Lauryn, didn't you say Lauryn? Wasn't Lauryn Hill?
She was with my show last year. I did not like her performance.
Yeah. But I mean, she's the older generation too. But yeah.
So they had it mixed, last year, which was good. I didn't know who performed this year because I didn't see any ads for it at all.
Yeah.
Like that, I didn't know. But I did go to the Hampton Jazz Festival. I wish I would have uploaded my videos and photos. I did attend the Hampton Jazz Festival last Sunday. Had a ball, and guess what time it was? 2 p.m.
2 o'clock
and it was sponsored by AARP.
Well, you know what? That's fine. Like so what? Like that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with going to a concert.
It was perfect. It was perfect. It was a perfect Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a perfect Sunday. 2 p.m. and it started at 2:01.
Oh wow!
I've never been to a concert that started exactly at the time. Beyonce's a little close, but this one started at 2:01. Beyonce started like 10, 15 minutes later. But this was 2:01. The concert started, and it was the Fuzz Band, a local band of the 757 in Hampton, Virginia. It was October London. He was pretty good. It was Brian Cuthbertson. Yes. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. He's a jazz musician, and he plays the keyboard, trumpet, all these things. Phenomenal. And then John Batiste.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah. Okay.
So it was phenomenal. 2 p.m. and we got out around maybe 6. That's what I'm talking about.
What time would it have?
Wow, 2 p.m. Now the one on Friday and Saturday night, It started, I believe, like 7 p.m. or whatever, which I get. It's a Friday and a Saturday. But the Sunday show was like the matinee, 2 p.m. It was perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So they
Now,
had
what time?
Kim.
What time would it have started with if Lauren was there?
2 p.m. on Monday.
Because she's known for being late.
But she wasn't late for the Essence Festival. She wasn't late. She was actually on time. So,
Then arguing with people when she get there. Like, that's how she did it to NJ Pack. Like, she was late and then argued with folks when she got there.
So I did do that. The Essence. I didn't go do the Essence Festival. I did the Hampton Jazz. And that started on the campus of Hampton University in 1968.
Oh, okay. That's real nice.
So now I believe the president is trying to incorporate the Hampton University a little bit more into the Hampton Jazz Festival, because it really is a Hampton University thing. But it was nice. It was at the Hampton Coliseum. So that was good. But yeah, I think, so then another thing that I looked at is called Searching for Shaniqua. So when you think of the name Shaniqua, what comes to mind?
The hood.
Ooh, that's terrible. Why?
Like somebody in the hood would have a name like Shaniqua. That's all.
So basically, let me see if I can read this description. If I can't, I'm sorry, but basically that's right. But anyway, the impact of these names, these Afrocentric names, Islamic names, and ghetto type names, the impact that these names have on the African American community, especially professionally. And they highlighted 6 women with names like Shaniqua and Capisha and Talalahisha and Dadadajisha, like all these names and the impact that it has had on them and what they have experienced, as a result of their name. So one that was really stood out, she's an attorney and she's located in New Jersey. She is in one of but at this time, now this shows on PBS, came out in 2018, director Phil Branch. So Searching for Shaniqua, look it up. It's really good documentary. So she, back in 2001, remember after 9/11, and there was this whole thing about Muslims and stuff like that, and everyone's on the watch for Muslims. No one trusted Muslims. So her name was, I'll say, Khadijah Shabazz. So she went to apply to several law firms, I think 4 or 5 law firms around that time. And no one responded to her resume. So what did she do? What do you think she did?
Kept the same resume and changed the name to Lisa.
Right, to KD Williams. Her last name was Williams, because she took on her fiance's last name, and she just had JK or KD or whatever. She got a call back from a firm that she initially sent her Shabazz resume to.
So all she did was change her name.
That was it. All she did was change her name. That was it. The body of the resume stayed the same. That was all she did, was change her name, and she got a call back. She got a couple of callbacks. She removed the Shabazz and the Khadijah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes a difference. And people, HR is they're not supposed to.
Yeah, it's workplace discrimination, isn't it?
Right, but you can't prove it. You can't prove it. So in that sense, she could say, well, I sent my resume, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And they can say, well, we overlooked your first resume. Sally wasn't here that day.
Yeah. You would never be able to prove that. Yeah.
Right. You can't prove it. That's why I tell our clients that go to BMI and you live in an urban environment, do not put your address on your resume, because people do what?
Judge you by where you live.
They judge you by where you live. They look at your zip code, and they can say, oh, this person lives in the hood. Oh, this person lives in so and so, so and so. Oh, this person, because even in Newark, there are different zip codes for different areas.
Man, that, and you know what? Just real quick before we get out of here, like that's something else. Like my insurance changed by like 50% less because of the my address change.
Absolutely, because
now I don't
the
live in Newark.
probability of them carjacking, the probability of whatever lowered as a result of your move.
But I really don't agree with one thing. Like, because when I was in Newark, I had a driveway in a garage. You say so? Like, my car wasn't even on the street like that. Like, I used to leave my car unlocked every night. Like, and nobody ever came in my driveway.
And then guess who lives in those areas where it's jacked up 50% more?
Yeah, people that are poorer.
Right. Who have a tendency to be what race of people?
Yeah. Black, minorities, whatever. Yeah.
Right.
But see, meanwhile, like if there's say a whole bunch of new cars like out in the suburbs, like that's where you would find the better cars at. Like that's where you're gonna find the better cars. You're not gonna find it like necessarily in Newark. You're gonna go to, like somebody from Newark's gonna go to the suburbs like West Orange and go steal it out of somebody's driveway. Or South Orange and steal it out of somebody's driveway.
Right. That's systemic racism. That is systemic racism. Because what happens is if you live in that community where the zip code and it's more money to pay for car insurance, that's less finances for something else. So they get it's sort of like that bird cage. Insurance is one where it's costs so much. The grocery price is so much. That this is so much. That, but then to be able to afford to move to that community, you can't do it because you're spending money in car insurance and food and
See, and the thing that's so funny, like I said, is like because we know that people like went to South Orange and or whatever it took the car out the driveway. You're saying like so it's not like my car wasn't the one that was in danger. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh, this is William Hathaway. Good evening, William from Orange, New Jersey.
Good
evening. Like, you probably know William Hathaway. He's always around. Like you may know him from the newspaper.
Yeah, that's what I think I know him from the newspaper.
Oh, okay, yeah. Welcome aboard. Welcome. I haven't seen you in a long time, Mr. Hathaway. How you been? So yeah, you're right. I bet that 50% cheaper felt better.
Yeah, it does. It's just that it's like I don't have a garage or anything, like no driveway or anything.
You don't need one. It's just your zip code. It's just your zip code. That's all they look at, that zip code. And I tell people also, if you are of a certain age, if you are Generation Xer or whatever, you don't have to put the year you graduated from any of your schools. Because people look at that and they can determine how old you are.
Age. Oh, yeah.
They're like, okay, so she graduated college in 91, so she must be around. Like, nope. Don't do it. Take off. You do not have to put your graduation dates on.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes.
And that's job description, like they'll be discriminating against you.
Yes, that is correct. They're like, oh, this person is 55. She needs naps in the daytime. You know, so yes. All right. So anything else, Curtis?
No, I think that was it.
All right. Want to come to the show? Hold on. William says, want to come to the show. What show, William? What are you talking about? What show?
You probably want to come to our show. What you got to talk about, William?
Want to come to the show? That sounds like he's asking me if I want to come to his show. You have a show, William?
Yeah. But I mean, actually, we didn't expect to go this long, but we ended up doing it anyway, right?
I know. I told you I have a lot to talk about and to say, and I'm not even. I didn't even talk about the Chris Brown speech, but I'm not going to talk about that. Oh, want to come to your show? Oh, my show. He wants to come on my show. All right. So, what do you want to talk about, William?
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's what he meant.
Yeah. Right. What do you want to talk about in the Urban Suite? politics was happening this November and everything. Ooh, that debate. Ooh, speaking of politics, man, oh my gosh. I don't know, Curtis.
Let's not talk about that.
I don't know. Who do we call for elder abuse? What the Department of Community Affairs? Oh, whatever you want. Well, see, no, that it doesn't work that way, William. Because my guess, if you want to be on the show, I have to figure out what your level of what you are an expert in a sense. So if you talk about, let's see, November election. All right. So, but we do have the November election coming up first, so we have to do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll wait a little bit. Like we'll do some more of those shows towards September.
Oh yeah, no, well, October.
Or October, yeah, rather.
Yeah, in
But
October.
we're gonna take a little bit of time off for August and stuff.
Because what we would like a man in the street, right? To go and talk to people that are coming from the polls, I think that's interesting. I had fun that night when we were looking at the results coming in.
Local elections.
Yeah, it's fun, and this year is going to be interesting. So so maybe we'll do that. But I have to say, next week I'll be here. But for the month of August, we are going to be taking a Urban Suite break, and I will return in September with some guests and all these other good shows and stuff like that. So I am taking a break in August. I deserve it, but I will have replays and reruns.
Yeah, we'll do some reruns and some best stuff.
And then, do you all miss the sneak peeks? I kind of miss the sneak peeks. I want the sneak peek back. I want the sneak peek back. Huh?
Did you like the laugh?
I like the laugh. Oh, namaste. Hello there. Everybody's coming in late in the Urban Suite.
Because it's the summer. People ain't, just running back in the house to do this. They chilling.
I know, right? And it's still light outside. That's why I like
so
the
they trying to enjoy their summer. We trying to have a little summer. So that's why they have the summer break.
Yeah, summer break.
We'll have
I'll get some ice cream.
Right.
So next week I'll be here with Sean, I think. It's the third Tuesday. So we'll be here next week. So so we had I think this evening was, pretty decent. I like I said, the missing person, the children, 11 years old at 1 o'clock in the morning, and just other issues, But anyway, Curtis, any last words?
No, that's pretty much it. We can wrap it up.
All right. Well, my urban nights, thank you for entering into the Urban Suite with me, where you laugh, learn, cry, and grow. And hold on for a second. I don't know if Raquel is here tonight. I don't know if The Rock is here tonight, but it's her birthday. That was my roommate from college. I call her The Rock.
Well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. All right, so this is where you laugh, learn, cry, and grow. Thank you for entering into the Urban Suite. We'll be back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, iHeartRadio. Let's see, iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify. Oh, Felicia's outside with her puppy. Oh, nice. See, I'm not ready for a dog yet. I'm not ready for a pet yet. I'm not, and Curtis asked me earlier today, was I ready? And I'm not ready. Happy birthday, Rock, from William Hathaway. Have a great week. Thank you. You have a great weekend too. The only thing that I think about with a dog, the reason why I don't want a dog is I don't want the dog hair,
Yeah. You don't miss the dog hair.
I don't miss the dog hair. And if I were to get another dog, I would have to get a bull mastiff again. And I don't miss the saliva.
Oh.
He would shake and the saliva would be all over the place. I would go to work and have saliva on my skirt, my dress. It's like, oh my
Lord.
God.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, so I don't miss that, but I do sometimes miss having a pet. So,
Well,
All right.
you could always get Astro fixed,
Oh.
upgraded. You can also get him upgraded.
Listen, you have the on our go out. You have that Astro.
Actually,
video?
it was one of those ones I can't use the audio on it, but
Oh,
it was one of those ones. It was one of those
Oh.
Purple Planet ones.
All
Check
right.
it out.
Well, on that note, my urbanites, thank you for always tuning in with me, Dr. Lisa Lacan, in the Urban Suite. Again, where you laugh, learn, cry, and grow. Until next time, Molly, take us away.